I didn't even realize my money was gone until my savings jar sat there empty. Like my heart. That jar had been my quiet obsession for 2 years. I wasn't flashy. I didn't post hauls on TikTok or flex shoes on Instagram. I just wanted enough to buy my own laptop, nothing special. Just a second-hand MacBook I found on Facebook Marketplace. $1,100. That's how much I'd saved in 2 years of lawn mowing, pet sitting, running errands for our neighbors. I'm 17. I was going to start community college in the fall and needed a computer that wasn't from 2012. But 2 weeks ago, I got home from school and my jar, this chunky, blue glass thing that used to sit on the top shelf of my closet, was just sitting there, lid off. Empty. First, I thought maybe Mom had borrowed it. She'd done that before with smaller things like gas money. I didn't think the worst. Until my sister walked in. Naomi. Naomi, 20 years old, perfect grades, perfect looks, and according to my parents, perfect everything. That day she wouldn't look at me. Wouldn't meet my eyes. Wouldn't even stay in the same room as me. And that's when it clicked. I went downstairs and asked my parents directly. Did Naomi take my savings? Dad didn't say anything. He just sighed and kept scrolling through his phone. But Mom? Mom gave me this look like I was the one who did something wrong. She needed it, Mom said simply. I remember standing there, hearing those words, feeling like I was punched in the gut. She's applying for scholarships. She needed to pay for the prep course. It's only money, honey. Only money. 2 years of mowing lawns. 2 years of putting birthday money aside instead of spending it on sneakers or concert tickets. I thought they'd say sorry. I thought Naomi would at least say sorry. Instead, 3 days later, she got into her dream school. Full scholarship. The prep course paid off. And instead of fixing things with me, my parents threw her a party. I wasn't invited. I sat upstairs in my room while they had balloons and cake downstairs. I could hear them singing. Naomi didn't even come up to say anything. Later that night, Mom came up with a plate of cake for me. Like that would make it okay. I didn't take it. That's when Mom sat down on my bed, all sighs and tight smiles, and gave me the speech. Sometimes in a family we make sacrifices for each other. Naomi's going to be the first one in the family to go to a big university. You should be proud of her, honey. It's just a computer. But it wasn't just a computer. It was my independence. Here's where things get twisty, though. That same night after Mom left my room, I got a text from my cousin June. June's my age, lives a couple of towns over. We don't talk all the time, but she follows my private story on Snapchat. June messaged me. Yo, did Naomi really take your money? I was like, yeah, why? Then she sent me a screenshot from Facebook Marketplace. A silver MacBook Pro. For sale. Location, our town. Seller name Naomi S. The exact same model I'd been saving for. It wasn't a prep course. She bought herself the computer I was saving up for. I stared at that post for a full minute, my hands shaking. The next morning I showed my parents the screenshot. Mom didn't say a word. Dad looked like he wanted to crawl under the table. But Naomi? Naomi just shrugged. I needed it more than you did, she said. Like it wasn't a big deal. Now here's where I might be the bad guy. Because I completely lost it. I yelled. I told Naomi I hated her. I said I hoped her scholarship fell through. My parents freaked out. Mom told me I was being selfish. That I should be happy for my sister's success instead of tearing her down. Dad said I was embarrassing myself. I packed a bag and left. I went to June's house. Stayed there for 2 nights. Now I'm back home, but no one is talking to me. Mom acts like I'm invisible. Dad won't even look up from his phone when I walk in. Naomi posted a story yesterday from her new dorm room. Happy as can be. My computer sitting on her desk in the background. And me? I'm here typing this on my ancient school-issued Chromebook, feeling like I don't exist. So, Reddit, am I the asshole for not being proud of my sister after she stole from me? Or is my family just blind? 2 days passed before anyone said anything to me again. 2 whole days of quiet, cold air in the house. I'd wake up, eat breakfast standing at the counter like a ghost, leave for my part-time job, come back, go to bed. No one said good morning. No one asked how I was doing. Until Sunday night. That's when Dad came into my room. leaned against the door frame with his arms crossed like he was about to give me some grand piece of fatherly wisdom. But all he said was, "You're making this harder than it has to be." I didn't even look up from my busted Chromebook. The hinge clicks every time I open it. He kept going. "You don't know what real life is like yet, son. Sometimes we help family even when it's inconvenient. Your sister's success is your success." I shut the Chromebook and stared at him. "Dad, she stole from me. That was my money." His mouth flattened like he couldn't believe I'd said it out loud. Money comes and goes. I almost laughed. Dad never used to talk like that. This was the same man who once lost his mind over me misplacing a $20 bill from my allowance. "Right?" I said, voice tight. "Unless it's Naomi." He didn't say anything else. He just shook his head like I was a disappointment and left. That's when I realized something. My parents weren't going to fix this. They didn't care if I forgave Naomi. They just wanted me quiet so things could go back to normal. And honestly, that made me angrier than anything Naomi had done. Because the worst part wasn't even the money. It wasn't the laptop. It was realizing I mattered less in my own house. That night I messaged June again. I sent her a picture of my Chromebook, hinge all broken and taped up. "Still stuck with this thing," I wrote. "Kind of pathetic, huh?" June wrote back almost right away. "Bro, I have an old one you can have. Not great, but better than that." I stared at my phone. For like a solid 2 minutes I didn't know what to say. Then I just typed, "For real. For real. Come by this weekend." Could have cried. I didn't, but I could have. Maybe that sounds dramatic. But it felt like for once someone actually saw me. Saturday I took the bus to June's place. I didn't tell my parents where I was going. Didn't even leave a note. When I got there, June met me at the door with her usual don't care energy baggy hoodie, chipped nail polish, hair half up in a messy bun. "Here," she said, handing me a dusty gray laptop. "It's old but functional." I opened it right there on her kitchen counter. It was a little slow, but compared to my Chromebook, felt like luxury. "Thank you," I said, voice kind of hoarse. June just shrugged. "Don't mention it." Then she added, "You know, Naomi's always been like that." I glanced up. "What do you mean?" June leaned against the counter, picking at her thumbnail. "Remember that time in 8th grade, when Aunt Linda's birthday money went missing?" Vaguely. "Yeah. Mom said she must have lost it." June snorted. "Naomi had new shoes the next week. Expensive ones." My stomach twisted. "And no offense," June added, "but your parents, they let her get away with everything." I knew it. Deep down I'd always known it. I just never wanted to admit it until now. After hanging out for a while I went home, laptop in my backpack. My parents didn't even ask where I'd been. That night I stayed up late, transferring everything from my Chromebook to the new laptop. I wasn't doing homework or anything. Just scrolling, listening to music. Trying to breathe. That's when I got a text. "Naomi." At first I thought Maybesh was finally going to say something real. Apologize or at least explain herself. But all it said was, "Hey, Mom said you're still mad. Can you chill? You're making things awkward." No sorry. No let's talk. Just that. I stared at my screen until the words blurred. I didn't even reply. The next day, though, something happened that flipped everything sideways again. I was walking home from work. It was late, sky all purple gray. I had my earbuds in, hoodie up. I wasn't really paying attention, just zoning out. Until I saw a guy from school standing on the corner. Jason. We weren't friends or anything. But I recognized him. What caught my eye, though, was what he was holding. A silver MacBook Pro. My model. My stomach dropped. I yanked my earbuds out and walked straight up to him. "Yo," I said. "Where'd you get that?" Jason blinked at me. "Marketplace." "From who?" He shrugged. "Some chick. Naomi, I think." I felt my face go hot. "You bought that yesterday?" "Yeah. Why?" I almost couldn't believe it. Naomi had sold the laptop. The one she stole from me. While I was still sitting there, computerless, feeling like crap, she was flipping it for extra cash. And that's when I realized. She wasn't sorry because she didn't think she did anything wrong. I went home. Walked straight past my parents. Didn't say a word. I locked myself in my room, pulled out my phone and started typing. A post. On Reddit. The post you're reading now. Because honestly, I don't know what else to do. When I hit post on that Reddit thread, my hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped my phone. I didn't expect much, honestly. Maybe a few comments. A couple of people telling me I was either right or overreacting. But within an hour, there were already 50 replies. By the time I woke up the next morning, my phone was blowing up. Notifications nonstop. I lay there in bed staring at the screen. People from all over saying the same thing. You're not the asshole. That's emotional manipulation. Your parents are enabling her. Get out as soon as you can. And one comment that really stuck with me. Family doesn't mean letting people walk all over you. Family's supposed to have your back. That last one kind of sat in my chest all morning while I got ready for work. And here's where things got even more surreal. That afternoon, while I was walking into the coffee shop where I worked part-time, my manager, Leo, called me into the back office. Leo's this 30-something guy, always chill, always wears these faded band tees. He closed the door and gave me a weird look. You okay, man? He asked. I blinked. Yeah. Why? Then he pulled out his phone, opened Reddit. And there was my post. Front page of r/m-asshole. Over 20,000 upvotes. Dude, Leo said. That's you, right? I felt my face go hot. Don't worry, he said, holding up a hand. Not mad. Just, that's rough. Your folks really let her sell the laptop. I swallowed hard and nodded. And then Leo did something I didn't expect. He reached under his desk, grabbed this slim black laptop, and slid it across to me. Company laptop, he said. We just upgraded. This is last year's model, but it still runs great. You can have it. No charge. My mouth actually fell open. I can't just take that, I stammered. Leo shrugged. Consider it a bonus. You're one of the hardest working kids we've got. Least I can do. For a second I couldn't speak. My throat felt tight. Finally I managed. Thank you. Leo just smiled. Take care of yourself, all right? I carried that laptop home in my backpack like it was gold. And all the way there I kept thinking about what people had said on Reddit. About what Leo said. Maybe I didn't have to keep swallowing this. Maybe I didn't have to keep pretending like everything was okay. That night, while I was setting up the new laptop, I made a decision. I wasn't going to just sit quietly anymore. I opened a new document. And I started writing everything down. Every time Naomi had taken something. Every time my parents brushed it off. The birthday money when I was 13. The sneakers that went missing. The way I always seemed to get the hand-me-downs while Naomi got the brand new stuff. I wasn't writing it to post online. Not this time. I was writing it for me. And once it was all down, pages and pages of stuff I'd been carrying around in my head for years, I printed it out. Put it in an envelope. Wrote for Mom and Dad on the front. The next morning, I left it on the kitchen table before heading to work. I didn't stick around to watch them read it. I didn't need to. I just needed them to know. By the time I got home that evening, the house felt different, quieter. I found Mom in the kitchen. The envelope was open on the counter next to her. She didn't say anything at first. Just looked at me like she wasn't sure how to start. Finally, she said, "Why didn't you tell us you felt this way sooner?" I almost laughed. "Would you have listened?" I asked. Her mouth pressed into a thin line. She began, but then her voice trailed off. And for the first time I realized maybe she really didn't know how to handle it. Maybe she wasn't some evil mastermind. Maybe she was just scared. But I couldn't carry that for her anymore. "I'm not mad about the laptop," I said quietly. "Not really. I'm mad that it feels like Naomi's the only one that matters." That made her flinch. And then, to my shock, she sat down and put her face in her hands. "I don't know how to fix this," she whispered. For a second I just stood there. Then I sat down across from her. "Start by admitting it wasn't okay," I said. "What she did. What you let happen." Mom didn't answer right away. But after a long silence she nodded. When Dad came home it was the same conversation all over again. And this time, they listened. Really listened. It wasn't some magical fix. It didn't make everything perfect overnight. But it was a start. The next week, I got a text from Naomi. Not just a throwaway chill-out message this time. It said, "I'm sorry." 2 words. Not a whole speech. Not a grand gesture. But it was something. I didn't reply right away. I wasn't ready. But maybe someday I would be. For now, I was just focused on me. My job. My own future. My own computer sitting on my desk, not stolen. Not secondhand. Mine. I wish I could say everything ended neatly after that. Life doesn't work that way. A week after Naomi texted me, Mom called a family dinner. The first one since everything blew up. It felt awkward as hell. Plates clinking too loud, nobody talking except for small things like, "Pass the salt." Naomi wasn't there. She was already settled into her dorm across the state. That should have made things easier, but it didn't. There was just this huge silent gap at the table where everything we weren't saying sat like a ghost. Finally, toward the end of the meal, Dad cleared his throat. "We're proud of both our kids," he said, voice stiff like it hurt him to admit it. "We didn't handle things right. That's on us." I didn't say anything at first. I didn't really trust it. But Mom added quietly, "We want to do better." For once, I believed her. That night, I went up to my room and stared at Naomi's old text again. "I'm sorry." I didn't know what to do with that. I wasn't sure one text erased years of feeling invisible. But it was a start. And honestly, I figured maybe Naomi had some growing up to do too. Maybe living on her own would teach her the stuff my parents never really did. Weeks passed. I kept working, kept saving up. I fixed up June's old laptop with some parts one found cheap online. And for the first time, I started looking at colleges outside my town. Before, I planned on staying local. Community college, maybe transferring later. Keep my head down. But now? Now I wanted out. I applied to 2 universities. Out of state. Quietly. I didn't tell my parents. Not yet. It felt like taking my life back in slow, careful steps. And then came the real surprise. A month later, Naomi showed up at our front door. It was a Friday night. I was home alone. Mom and Dad were at a dinner thing. When I opened the door, I almost didn't recognize her. She looked tired, different. Her hair was tied back in a messy ponytail, no makeup, sweatshirt and jeans. "Hey," she said, voice small. "Didn't know you were coming," I said. Couldn't keep the edge out of my voice. She nodded. "Yeah, can I come in?" I stepped aside, arms crossed. She walked in slow, like she wasn't sure she belonged here anymore. We ended up sitting on the couch in silence for a solid minute before Naomi finally spoke. "I sold the laptop," she said. "Not just because I needed the money. I felt guilty having it. That caught me off guard." "I saw your post," she admitted. "It was all over campus. People were talking about it." My face flushed hot. "You knew it was me?" Naomi gave a sad little laugh. "Yeah. Who else would it be? You always did save money in jars." I didn't know what to say to that. "I really am sorry," she said, quieter now. "I messed up. I don't know. I thought it wouldn't matter. You always acted like you didn't care about stuff." I blinked. That was the thing that really got me. All those years I thought nobody saw me. But maybe it wasn't that. Maybe Naomi saw me but misunderstood everything I did. "I cared," I said, voice low. "I just didn't think anyone else did." Naomi swallowed hard. "I shouldn't have taken it from you," she said again. We sat there for another minute, words heavy between us. Then Naomi reached into her backpack and pulled out a thin envelope. "What's that?" I asked. "Some of the money from my campus job," she said. "It's not everything, but it's a start. Paying you back." I stared at it. "Why now?" I asked, honest. Naomi shrugged. "Because I don't want to be that person anymore." It wasn't about the money anymore. Really wasn't. But I took the envelope anyway. Felt like closure. Naomi left not long after. We weren't best friends suddenly. We weren't magically close. But it was something. Later that night, when my parents got home, I told them she'd stopped by. Mom looked relieved. Dad just nodded once like he was quietly glad. For the first time in months, I felt like maybe my family wasn't broken. Just bent in a way that could still be fixed. Fast forward a few months. I got into both schools I applied to. One of them offered me a partial scholarship. The other, not as much money but a better program. I chose the second one. When I told my parents, Mom cried. Dad clapped me on the back. And the best part? They didn't try to talk me out of it. They didn't say, stay close. They said, we're proud of you. And yeah, I cried too. Quietly. In my room later that night. Here's the real kicker though. 2 weeks before I left for college, Naomi texted me again. Need help moving? I've got a car. And for the first time in a long time I texted her back. Yeah, that'd be cool. That's how it ended, really. Not with a huge blowout. Not with some movie scene forgiveness moment. Just 2 siblings loading boxes into a car. Both a little older. Both a little less selfish. Both still figuring things out. And me? I finally had my own laptop. My own future. My own story to write. Because sometimes family means forgiving. But sometimes family means finally choosing yourself. That's my story.